In the battle of the sexes, there's no doubting that women can pretty much do anything that men can. Oh yeah, they can also squeeze a watermelon-sized human out of themselves too, so that's a big point in their favor. To further prove to you just how tough women are, we've collected a wide range of individuals who have proven that they are unbreakable. From playing tough women on screen to handling multiple real-life health issues to traumatic encounters, we think you'll agree these following women are not to be messed with. But before we start, just make sure you've subscribed and activated those pesky notifications. Thank you so much. Let's get started. Abedo. When you look at her, you might not think she's especially tough looking. Don't let that fool you, however. This mother of 9 is in her 70s, yet she's an unbreakable warrior through and through. In the late 1970s, when the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, Abedo fought alongside her husband. When he lost his life, she continued to fight and ended up leading a band of 200 other fighters in the mountainous region. After the war ended, Abedo didn't go back to sewing and taking care of the kids. No, she organized the defense of her village after the Taliban torched her shop and tried to intimidate her neighbors. Today, she remains a respected leader of the area, and nobody does anything without Abedo knowing about it first. She can strip and clean an AK-47, understands battlefield tactics, can set up an ambush, and has the respect of everyone in her region, including the men. For surviving a couple of wars and the reign of the Taliban, we're thinking she makes a pretty solid starting point for any discussion of unbreakable women. Katrina Burgess. When she was just 17 years old, Katrina Burgess experienced something that would have destroyed most people's lives. While traveling home on a highway in England, Burgess's car left the road and went flying into a ditch. The 70-mile-per-hour crash was devastating. The crash broke her back, neck, pelvis, left leg, several ribs, and punctured both of her lungs. Needless to say, things did not look good. Surgeons went to work on her, but the procedures to fix her body also carried a huge risk of leaving her paralyzed. Nonetheless, they went forward. Titanium rods were inserted in her legs and spine, all held together with more titanium screws and pins. In fact, so much metal was used to put Burgess back together that we doubt she can get through airport security without triggering all of the alarms. With her hopes of becoming a police officer dashed, Katrina found her story in spirit had helped to open another door as she was picked up by a modeling agency who had seen pictures of her from the story. We would state that Burgess is definitely an unbreakable woman, but with all that titanium now in her, we think that's both the literal and physical case. Lindy Harding. Several years ago, Lindy Harding was in California with some friends from university. Looking to have some fun, they decided to go skydiving. At first, everything went as expected. Then on their 5th jump of the trip, something really bad happened. Harding's chute failed to open. She worked to release her reserve chute and was successful. There was just one problem. The main chute also released and both became tangled together. For 40 seconds, Harding plummeted toward the ground at 70 miles per hour. The next thing she remembers was waking up in the hospital. With her friends watching, Harding had struck the ground at near full speed. The tangled parachutes no doubt slowed her fall, but her speed should have been more than enough to send her into the next world. Nonetheless, she survived with a broken nose and just a few broken ribs. However, life sometimes has a way of kicking you when you're down, and Harding experienced this firsthand when her mother and brother both passed away unexpectedly right before and after the accident. Racked with guilt about her survival versus her family member's demise, Harding didn't let it all break her. She ended up recovering, skydiving one more time, and then marrying the love of her life. Thurman. Our second actress who qualifies for an Unbreakable Woman award is the very sexy Uma Thurman. Like Gal Gadot, pretty much everything about Thurman is tough. First, there's her on-screen exploits. She survived an overdose as Mia Wallace in Pulp Fiction, been the villain Poison Ivy in Batman and Robin, and of course, hacked and slashed her way through countless enemies as the bride in the Quentin Tarantino hit Kill Bill and Kill Bill Part 2. Okay, so her on-screen toughness is undisputable. But what about in real life? Well, Thurman has endured a range of relationship challenges that would leave most of us down in the dumps. She's been divorced twice and endured a rough engagement to Arpad Bussin, which resulted in 2 cancellations and a public custody battle over their daughter. However, the very public way the dirty details of her relationship with Ethan Hawke broke down were especially difficult. Across the internet and in every major paper, allegations of infidelity and stories of Hawke and his new love were likely impossible to avoid. Yet, like her on-screen characters, Thurman has always bounced back and never let these personal challenges break her in any way. Reshma Begum. Imagine having a building collapse on you, after which you were trapped and cut off from contact with the outside world for weeks. For one Bangladeshi girl, that scenario became a reality. In 2013, Reshma Begum was late for work and missed breakfast. As she rushed to work, she stopped to pick up a few packages of biscuits so she had something to eat. It would end up saving her life. At the garment factory where she worked, disaster struck when the building collapsed. Begum was reportedly on a lower floor when the 8th-floor structure collapsed. Trapped inside, she was actually one of the lucky ones, as the incident claimed the lives of 1,100 other workers. For 17 days, in temperatures that hovered in the mid-90s, Begum survived in a small cavity inside the collapsed structure as rescuers searched for survivors. Fortunately, the 19-year-old had the biscuits that she had bought for her breakfast. There was also some bottled water. Rationing her supplies, Begum kept her spirits up long enough for rescue crews to eventually reach her more than 2 weeks after the collapse occurred. Unbreakable indeed. Juliane Koepcke. If you thought Lindy Harding's story was bad, then wait until you get a load of Juliane Koepcke. When she was just 17 years old, Koepcke experienced a scenario few would survive. While in a plane over Peru, lightning struck and the plane disintegrated. Strapped in her seat, Koepcke fell 10,000 feet. Experts can only speculate on what happened next because the teen apparently passed out during the fall. However, they think either an updraft or the drag created by 2 attached seats helped to slow the descent just enough that Koepcke survived. In fact, if we walked away from a 10,000-foot fall with only a broken collarbone, swollen eye, and some cuts, we'd be pretty darn happy. Yet the crash was just the opening act of this girl's ordeal. Alone in the jungle, Koepcke was forced to find help on her own. For 9 days, she wandered through the wild, finding a river and following it downstream. When she found an empty hut with gasoline, she poured it on her wounds to clean them of maggots. Yuck. Ultimately, a lumberman arrived and tended to Koepcke before helping to get her out of the jungle and to a hospital where she recovered from this incredible journey. Anna Bagnstad. We don't think of skiing as a particularly dangerous recreational activity. Sure, you could accidentally run into a tree or another skier, but the worst that usually happens in these instances is a broken arm or leg. Anna Bagnstad certainly didn't think she was in any danger when she went out skiing. The Swede was enjoying the slopes near the Norwegian town of Narvik when disaster struck. Heading down a path, Bagnstad lost her balance and fell into the ice-covered stream. The ice gave way and her head and torso were both pulled under. With the water weighing down her clothes and the current adding to the pressure, Bagnstad was trapped with only her skis showing above the ice. Friends found her just 7 minutes after the accident, but they couldn't get her out from under the thick ice. 40 minutes later, she remained conscious thanks to an air pocket, but the cold eventually caused her to go into circulatory arrest. Incredibly, while unconscious, she endured another 40 minutes in the water before rescuers arrived to pull her out. Arriving at the hospital showing no signs of life, Bagnstad's heart miraculously started beating again 1 hour later. Today, she works as a radiologist at the very hospital where she came back to life. Linda Hamilton. Our final actress is probably the queen of unbreakable Hollywood stars. In the 1980s and early 1990s, Linda Hamilton became a mainstream star thanks to her role in the Terminator films. Long before Lara Croft was around, Hamilton was Sarah Connor, a tough and independent single mother who was successfully defeating futuristic cyborgs sent from the future to kill her son. Yes, Hamilton's tough girl portrayal on the big screen was believable and refreshing from the usual role handed to women, but what about in real life? If anything, we'd say the challenges this actress has faced in the real world make those Terminators look like a joke. Hamilton has endured 3 marriages and 3 divorces. Her marriage to filmmaker James Cameron was said to be especially rocky at times. This whole time, she has also battled with bipolar disorder. Not done there, the Terminator star also endured a long battle with drug and alcohol addiction. Yet despite all of these challenges, much like how she dealt with the Terminators, she has conquered every single one of them and has gone on to have a successful TV and movie career. Maria Belen. During the holidays, many families like to pack up and head out on vacation. Maria Belen and her family did just that in 2004. As part of a Christmas holiday, the family went to Thailand to soak up the warm weather and golden sun. Unfortunately, as we know now, a massive earthquake triggered a tsunami which took the lives of nearly 250,000 people. At her Thai resort, Maria was sitting by the pool with her sons when the wave suddenly appeared. It struck Maria and threw her through a plate glass window. Not done there, the relentless wall of water smashed her through the interior walls of the resort with its incredible power. Believing her family was lost and trapped for 3 minutes under the relentless water, Maria said there was a moment where she could have given up. But instead, she fought to stay alive, and it ended up paying off. Maria was reunited with her family after several days. In the tsunami, she had been badly injured and had several deep gashes that required medical attention. She also had to beat infection after being exposed to all the dirty water. Ultimately, not even a tsunami could break her body or her spirit. The Avengers. We figured we couldn't end our video with just any one unbreakable woman. So why not create a superhero team of 3? We don't need to tell you that heart disease and cancer are things which have affected most families around the world in one way or another. Well, we found 3 women who couldn't be broken by these killers. First, there's Tara Robinson from Fort Worth, Texas. Despite being in good physical shape, Robinson suffered 3 heart attacks in 1 week. Incredibly, she survived and is now in the front line helping to raise awareness about heart disease. Terry Georgie, like Robinson, suffered a heart attack but managed to survive. Incredibly, while recovering in the hospital, doctors discovered a lemon-sized tumor in her colon. Fresh off of a heart attack, she had surgery to remove the cancer, and everything went according to plan. Rounding out our unbreakable trio is author Emma Hannigan. When Hannigan was diagnosed with cancer, she beat it, only to have it come back 7 more times. While many people would relent in the face of such overwhelming odds and demanding treatment, Hannigan took the cancer head-on and crushed it without mercy. Combined, these women have faced 13 heart attacks or cases of cancer and won every time. We'd say that makes them pretty darn unbreakable. Well, those are all definitely some incredibly strong women. If you found this interesting, be sure to check out our other informative and entertaining videos. We've got a ton for you to choose from, and all we ask in return is that you make sure you're subscribed. We'll be sure to see you around. Take care, and bye-bye for now.